Hey girls, just a little note that this episode contains some colourful language. So if you have little ones around, probably best to listen to this particular episode with headphones in or at another time.
Welcome to the Secrets of Confident Women podcast, where you'll learn all the best tips, tricks, and practical techniques for building the confidence levels you've always wanted. With inspiring interviews, real-life examples, and game-changing insights, this podcast is for women who know that mastering the skill of confidence is one of the most important things they'll ever do.
Hello everyone and welcome to this week's episode. This is Jodie and today I am thrilled to be interviewing the author of my current favourite book and the book that every woman who has ever made a mistake should read. And yes, that's all of you. The book is titled The Bad Girl's Guide to Better and the author is the fabulous Casey Barros. Casey is a health journalist and TV presenter who has spent more than 15 years interviewing leading experts on our health and happiness. You may have seen her on Australian TV programs such as ABC's Tonic or Channel 10's Everyday Health, or read one of her articles in magazines such as Body and Soul or Mind Food. Her new book takes a very real, honest and hilarious look at the mistakes we've made, how to move past the shame and disappointment of our past and start loving our story. It is the ultimate best friend in a book who is going to help you realize that whatever mess you have made in the past, you can stop feeling bad. Realize that you're not alone because so many of us have made the same crappy mistakes. And most importantly, how to accept it all, move on and create the best and most important relationship of all, the one with yourself. She's also a wife, mother of 2 young girls, the host of the Wealthy podcast, and Australia's self-appointed parallel parking champion. Today is going to be so much fun and there's so much to cover. So let's get started by me introducing you to Casey Barros. Casey, welcome to the Secrets of Confident Women podcast.
Oh, thanks for having me. What an intro. I sound very impressive when you talk about me.
Great. You are very impressive. And the book is so great. I saw a picture of the book posted on Instagram and I ordered a copy straight away. I knew instantly that I wanted to invite you obviously on the podcast, especially when I saw that there was a chapter called Stop Worrying, Nobody Knows What the Fuck They're Doing. So I just loved it so much. It's real,
Truth.
It's straight up, it tackles everything from friendships, bad boyfriends, body image, sex, money, careers, parents, even our relationship with alcohol. And it's just so down to earth. Your stories are shockingly honest, which I love because it completely allows the reader just to relate and just be okay with our so-called past mistakes. And I laughed out loud so many times. There was so many the one-liners are fantastic. I love the Kate Moss one. The Kate Moss one where she says nothing tastes as good as skinny feels, but you disagree. What about Cheezels?
I do. Cheezels, those bloody little crunchy orange wheels of crack are delicious.
They are delicious.
She was wrong.
She's totally wrong. But they're the one-liners that all throughout the book is just peppered with these little laugh out loud moments. Sometimes
I'm so glad.
Weaved into some very serious topics and some very serious stories. So it's great. It's great. So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and your career and what you're doing now?
Sure. So my background is in journalism and I specialised in health before I'd even finished university. I knew very quickly that was the only thing that I wanted to write and talk about. And so I really kind of focused my energies there. I targeted the person that I felt I could learn the most from, which is a guy by the name of Dr. Norman Swan, who has sort of been our hero during the coronavirus pandemic.
Yeah.
He's a doctor, so his background is actually in pediatrics, but he's not a practicing doctor anymore, but rather he's kind of Australia is really our first medically qualified broadcaster.
Right,
so he's an incredible broadcaster, but really knows this stuff in the medical space. So my sort of, I suppose, thirst for evidence-based information really came from him. I was always very curious as I was growing up. But I think you'll agree, and I'm sure that anybody listening to this will know, we are so flooded with information, largely from people who are not qualified to deliver it. And this book was a real challenge for me because I don't usually insert myself into the story. I usually stay in the background, deliver the facts, do the research. And I guess to answer your question about I guess who I am and how I operate in market, if you will, I really try and think of myself as a bit of a conduit between consumer, so people or patients, and clinicians. Now, there are a lot of doctors these days that are incredible speakers and they're very media savvy. But 15 years ago when I started in the industry, there were very, very few of them. And so my role has been really to break down what can sometimes be quite dense, very scientific, heavy information and break it down and digest it, and I suppose present it. Yeah, and present it to the public in a way that's easy for them to absorb.
Yeah.
And I think now that's changed a little bit because, as I said, there are so many incredible communicators out there. But now I think my job is to help the public cut through some of the crap.
Yes.
And find the messaging that is actually going to move the needle when it comes to not only their health but also their happiness and just more broadly the quality of the lives that they're living. So that's how I like to think about it. So I guess these days, I do a little bit of TV. I love television. I love podcasts. I do a lot of medical facilitation, and I really just kind of focus my energies on still delivering the highest quality health information that I can and life information to the public as possible. So that's my mission.
Yeah, it's good. And it's because, there is, as you said, there is so much. The information is not a problem that anyone's finding. It's knowing which information is correct, and it is that science-based. We want to know that it's the truth backed up by science, not opinions. And it's
absolutely.
The media and the internet and the Instagram and everything is so full of opinions. You just don't know what's what. So it's great to have someone, pulling it apart and showing us what's needed.
Yeah, I just think we're really gullible.
Yes. Oh my goodness.
And for good reason. We're so busy and there's so much going on.
Yeah.
And I kind of liken people trading poor information with each other as like the old school version of two nonnas talking over the back fence.
Yes.
And if one nonna says to the other, oh, my sister Patsy ate only lemons for 3 weeks and she lost 10 kilos, then nonna number 2 is going to go and tell all of her nonna friends that about this incredible Patsy who only ate lemons. And it's the same thing, but it's magnified by millions because of the speed and the access of social media. And that obviously is really concerning, I think, for all of us. And so really I just try to invite people to kind of question what they're hearing or seeing and who they're hearing it or seeing it from.
Oh, absolutely. It's going to be the skill of, especially for everyone who has anything to do with internet or anything to do with social media, it's going to be that's going to be the biggest skill. I know trying to actually educate my children and, especially my 13-year-old about how to look at information and really work out what's worth listening to and what's just a crock of made up rubbish. It is going to be a skill for the future. So what does confidence or being a confident woman mean to you?
Being a confident woman means to me that real deep knowing that the universe and the people around you have totally got your back.
Yeah.
And not only that, but that you have your own back.
Yes.
And that's what I designed the book to do. Because you know that feeling when you're amongst people that love you no matter what. There is no more powerful feeling than that.
Yeah.
And so if we can extend that to the universe, and look, shitty things happen. They happen every day to good people, to bad people, and everything in between.
Yeah.
But I do have some sort of faith that the universe is putting me where I'm supposed to be. Don't get me wrong, I know that I play a huge part
Yeah.
in that,
Yeah,
but I like to believe that the universe is working in my favor,
absolutely.
even when it deals me a shitty hand.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I think that, plus being really selective about the people that we have around us and that we allow, like, it's a privilege to have a spot in my life.
Yes, good.
And it's an equal privilege to give me a spot in yours, and that's not something that I take lightly.
Yeah.
And so I think when you've got those three things working for you, you feel like the universe has your back, you feel like the people around you have your back, and that you've got your own.
Yeah.
That's what I think confidence is for me.
Absolutely. And that's something, you know, the people you surround yourself with, as you say, the feeling they give you can make or break your day, your life, can make, you know, if they make you feel bad about yourself or less than or not good enough, then it's very hard to have your own back even in those circumstances. You're much better off having people around you that are supportive and encouraging and, you know, all the good things. Gives you
100%.
a chance at least.
Absolutely.
And when are you the most confident version of yourself?
I'm the most confident version of myself when I know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
And so to use a professional example, when I get really nervous, like stupidly nervous. Like I would get nervous if I was just sitting in a room full of new people and we had to go around the circle and say our name and where we're from and why we're there, which is hilarious because I work as a facilitator, as a speaker, like that's my job.
Yes.
And I think part of the reason that I sought that out was because I like doing things that make me shit my pants a little bit. Pardon the term.
Yes, no,
but
it's
I
good.
think that's only good for you, right? Like because every time I do something like go on an audition for a TV program or facilitate in a room full of doctors, all of whom I presume are probably smarter than me, I shit my pants a little bit less.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Just a little bit less. And you know what? Actually, it was Norman, my old boss, who taught me, like, once you lose the nerves, it means that you don't give a shit anymore.
Yes.
And I always want to give a shit. So instead, I've kind of learned to harness those nerves and reframe them for myself so that I can use them, because a little bit of nerves is good.
Yes.
You don't see, you know, elite sports people walk out onto the field or the court super relaxed because they need that nervous energy to perform at their best.
Yeah.
So I've tried to really harness it, and instead of seeing it as like, oh my God, I'm going to spew on myself sort of nerves, try and reframe it as like, oh my God, I'm so excited to do this.
Yeah.
How lucky am I that I get to do this? So it's a bit of reframing.
Yeah, absolutely. Such a great technique. And it's great. Look, it's great that people like yourself that are sort of, you know, in that sort of game on TV do also say, and I can shit my pants with nerves, because, you know, I talk to so many women who just to speak up in a meeting are going, oh my God, I can't do it. It's something wrong with me. It's like, no, there's nothing wrong with you. That's just normal. Like everyone's trying to push through, especially when you're pushing the boundaries of your comfort zone. That's expected to feel that sort of fear and that, you know, that nervousness. It's part of the game that you're playing. So it's great that everyone can hear that, you know, no matter what level or what you're doing, you're going to get those feelings. It's about managing it or reframing it and being able to push through it, isn't it?
Yeah, and I think once you lose that, I think you've lost your humility, to be completely honest. I think it's a really normal, natural human thing to feel. Don't get me wrong, I'm sure that it diminishes for people who spend their lives in front of the cameras or on stages or whatever. I'm sure that it must diminish to some point because you simply couldn't operate feeling that nervous all the time. But I don't know, I just think that I agree with you. And when I hear my heroes and people in my field and people in other, you know, high performing positions say those things, I think, oh, thank fuck.
Same, exactly. Exactly.
There's so much camaraderie in that sort of candor, right?
Yeah.
So thank you for saying that, because
Yeah.
that's kind of my shtick. It's like,
Yes.
here it is,
Yeah.
all of it.
Yeah, exactly. Now, the very first lesson in your book is about making peace with your past and how we are not our mistakes. You also say that sometimes we judge ourselves too harshly and punish ourselves unfairly. So why do you think it's important to come to terms with our past mistakes, and how do we do that?
I think it's important because life is too short to
Yeah.
carry around emotional baggage. Even if we live to be 100, life is unfairly short. Like,
Yeah.
I'm 37 now, and I cannot believe how much of my life I have wasted worrying
Yes.
about what other people think about
Oh,
me,
I know.
and what so and so will say if I put that post out, or
Yep.
throw my hat in the ring for that promotion, or whatever it might be. Like, to be really frank, and I'm so sorry if anybody doesn't like swearing, but like, who gives a fuck?
I know.
Like,
Yeah.
just whatever. It's,
Yeah.
you know, I talk about this girl in the book, Holly Butcher, and I interviewed her mum, and some people listening to this might remember she wrote a letter, and she actually only wrote it to her kind of close friends and family, just before she passed away at the age of 7 from Ewing sarcoma. And her boyfriend and her brother, on the day that she died, posted it to her Facebook page, and it went ballistic,
Yeah, yeah.
crazy viral, because it was just so full of truth and humor and humility and kindness, and
Yeah.
just this real no bullshit approach
Yeah.
to living your life.
Yeah.
And I don't know why, I've always been really drawn. It sounds quite morbid, but I've always been really drawn to stories like that, because I love the reminder.
Yes.
I'm so mindful of my own, how short a time we get here.
Yeah.
And I'm terrified of it being cut short for me.
Yes.
And I'm terrified that I've wasted so much of it feeling crap about myself.
Yes.
And that's part of what the book is about. It's you know, all of those old messages are just so, they're so cliche, but it's so true. Like, today honestly could be my last day here. Like, you just don't know.
Yeah.
And I try really hard to hold on to those messages. And I think everybody listening will be familiar with, you know, you read something like that, or you hear something like this, and you go, yes, you're so right. I've changed my perspective. And within a few hours, or certainly within a few days, that perspective tends to wear off, and we get lost again in the sort of humdrum of everyday life. And I suppose I would caveat all of that with saying life is fucking hard.
Yes.
Yep. Like, it is really hard. And so knowing that we're only here for a short time doesn't mean that it will always be smiles and rainbows and fairy floss and unicorns.
No.
I'm not suggesting
that's
the case, but it is about, like, stopping trying to live for those kind of champagne moments, because they're so few and far between, and trying really hard to be thankful and grateful for the mundane everyday bits, because there are people who would give everything that they have to have that.
Exactly.
Again.
And it's trying to keep abreast of that, isn't it? Because as you're saying, you see these stories and you read and you're, oh my God, I'm so thankful for my life. And then, you know, an hour later you're worrying about what you're putting in your mouth, because is it too much sugar or too much diet? Am I going to put on weight? Like, it's so ridiculous. It can go so fleetingly, those moments of trying to just enjoy the moment and live in it, to then getting caught up in worry and comparing ourselves and all the other bullshit that goes along. But it's trying to put sort of habits and things in our life that can keep bringing that perspective back.
Yeah, I think that's right. And look, I didn't answer the second part of your question, which is, like, what do we do about it?
Yeah.
And I guess what I would say is that somebody asked me in a television interview the other day, you know, how do we rewrite our past? And the answer is that we can't. Like, what's done is done.
It is.
But what's done is done. It's like, it's over, it's finished. And, you know, I used to run really fast away from who I used to be. I didn't like that person. I made decisions and mistakes when I was not my best self, that my modern day self really had to clean up my old self's mess. And that felt really crappy. You know, I didn't want to coexist with that person. And so I think we need to get really comfortable with the fact that you need to bring all of your old selves with you.
Yeah.
The ones who perhaps didn't do things right
Yeah.
by you or by people that you love or whatever. And so getting really comfortable with that, I think, is the first thing.
Yeah.
You know, there's this incredible research on secrets out of Columbia University in the States that showed that 97% of us are carrying one big secret at any given time. And in fact, each of us will be carrying 13 secrets around with us on average, 5 of which we'll have never told anyone.
Wow.
And the bit that's dangerous about that is not the act of whatever you did in the first place or having concealed it, but actually how frequently your mind dips back to think about it.
Yeah.
And anybody listening to this will have something like that pops up for them for no reason when they're just driving home from work or when they're sitting in a meeting or randomly. It's like, where the hell did that come from?
Yeah.
And I think it's because, like when you've got something valuable on your person, so let's say you're traveling, remember those days, and you've got money in a money bag on you, or if you've ever proposed to someone and you've got an engagement ring on you or anything like that, even when you get out, like, you know, a heap of cash from the ATM for something and you got it on you for a little while, that, you know, and you just feel that kind of sense of, I don't know, you just feel extra vigilant or something about the world around you because you're carrying something valuable. Well, secrets are the same, and they kind of burn a hole in our pocket until we can get rid of them. And sometimes we don't. Sometimes we carry them around for our entire lives, feeling awful about them. And so I think, firstly, recognizing that everybody has secrets and everybody carries around shame. You know, your mum, my mum, Oprah, your boss, my boss, literally every single person you know is carrying around. And it could be something silly like, I don't know, once you pilfered some toilet paper from work or once you drove your car after you'd had 3 mojitos and you feel terrible about that or whatever.
Yes.
Or it could be something much bigger than that.
Yeah.
You were unfaithful to your partner, or you had something that you really needed to say to someone and you didn't say it and then it was too late. Whatever it is, we all carry stuff like that around.
Yeah.
So I think really embracing the fact that you're, you know, welcome to the world's least exclusive club. Literally everyone you know is in here.
Yeah.
I think that there's some comfort in that. And then I think remembering that there are a couple probably of really key things that I think people should remember. One is that you need to separate what you've done from who you are. They are 2 completely different things.
Yeah.
They are not the same. So really being able to separate them, I think, is important. And then I have this saying which is chuck it in the fuck it bucket and move on.
I love it. I remember reading that. That was another laugh out loud moment. I was like, oh my God.
Good.
Yes.
Because it's easy to remember, right?
Yeah, you need it to be the sign on your, basically your bathroom mirror probably. Every time you wake up, you need to say it.
Totally. And you know what? I'm oversimplifying things, particularly if these are big things that we've been carrying around for a long time. But it's almost like you've been flexing this muscle of feeling shitty about yourself or feeling like ashamed of that thing that you did probably for quite a long time.
Yeah.
It's unlikely to be something that happened last week. It's probably something that happened a year ago or 10 years ago. And so I think remembering that if you've gone to the gym every day and only done bicep curls on the right, your bicep on the right is going to be looking significantly larger than your bicep on the left, which has just been hanging limply by your side.
Yes.
So you need to flex the other muscle, and it's going to take some time.
Yeah.
You know, if you've been feeling crappy about yourself or beating yourself up for that thing that you did 10 years ago for a decade, it's going to take you a little while to get good at being a bit kinder to yourself about it. So I would say be patient. You need to give yourself a wide berth. This is not a click your fingers overnight solution situation.
No, exactly. And I love in the, you know, stop worrying, nobody knows what the fuck they're doing chapter, you say about, look, it's just that overwhelmingly it's all about, we're all in the same boat trying to operate a navigation system that's seemingly in another language and upside down. And we talk to clients all the time about how everyone is really just winging it to some point. Like, what we see of other people is not always, and probably very often, not the truth. Yet we are still comparing ourselves to this idea that everyone else has it all together. So how do we stop worrying or stop comparing ourselves and realize that we're probably doing okay in the scheme of things?
So I've got a couple of things to say to that. One is you can't stop worrying. That's what your brain is designed to do.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's almost futile to worry about worrying. But I do definitely think that there are a couple of tricks that can make living with worry a little easier. And one of those is accepting that the uncertainties of life are the same for all of us.
Yeah.
So you have no idea whether when you walk out of your house this morning, you're guaranteed to return that night. It's likely, probable, in fact, but you just don't know 100%. In the same way that you don't know if your boss has set that meeting with you for tomorrow because they want to thank you, promote you, or let you go. You have no idea. There are likely outcomes, but if you ask anyone who has been blindsided by anything ever, they will tell you, oh my God, I never, ever saw that coming.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So I think that's really important. The other thing that I talk about is, and I just tried to come up with something that was kind of easy for people to remember, and that is the 4 A's of anxiety or worry. And anxiety and worry, those terms we kind of use interchangeably. And really, I guess anxiety is really just worry on crack, right?
Yes.
So the 4 A's of anxiety, and I only said anxiety really because I like the alliteration of the A's and the anxiety, and that makes it easy to remember. But the 4 A's of anxiety or worry are this. The first one is awareness.
Yeah.
So being aware of the fact, I think we can only do something with what we're aware of in the first place. So being aware of the sweaty palms that you might get, or that kind of gurgly tummy, or that kind of nervous down the rabbit hole feeling that you might feel when a worry is sort of starting to carry you away. I think our body tends to give us clues before our mind cottons on to what's going on.
Yeah.
The second one is acceptance. And so as we just said, your brain is designed to worry. Its job is to hunt threat to make sure that you are safe. So accept that your brain is simply doing its job and not giving yourself too hard a time for it.
Yeah.
The third is ask. So ask yourself, should I rather be worried about this? Is there any point in me worrying about this? So to give you an example, if you're worried about the fact that that your mammogram is overdue, that's a good thing to worry about.
Yes, absolutely.
Because you can do something about that, and that worry might trigger action, should trigger action to make you pick up the phone, call the surgery, make the appointment, whatever it is. If you're worried about your plane falling out of the sky when we get to go on them again.
I know. It's looking further and further away at this point, but nevertheless.
It is, but I'm holding out hope.
I am too.
That is completely futile because there is no amount of worry that your little brain can do that is going to change the outcome of that. It will or it won't.
Yeah.
It's highly likely that it won't. But so it's really about, I guess, thinking about the things that are within your control and out of it, because you could spend your whole life worrying about things that are outside of your control, and they never, ever happen.
No.
And you know what? I'll caveat all of that by saying I wish I could sit here and tell you that I don't worry about things outside of my control. I am absolutely human. That happens to me almost on a daily basis.
Yeah.
What I am getting better at, and again, that's my brain's job. It's doing its job, and I'm grateful for that.
Yeah.
What I am better at doing is simply asking myself that question.
Yes.
Should I worry about this? Is there any point in me worrying about this? And if the answer is no, then
give it up.
Scratch it off your list and move to something that is within your control.
Absolutely.
And then the last one is alternative. And this is probably my favorite. We often tread the same path, even if it's just in our heads, purely because that's what we've always done. So I am an excessive worry wart. I'll worry until the cows come home.
Yeah.
I'll worry about the cows coming home. And even when they do come home, I'll still worry that they're not home enough home.
Yeah.
So giving yourself an alternative means, okay, so this is what I would usually do. How about I do something different? And so the example that I give in the book is perhaps you could try allocating a designated worry time. So let's say that you would usually sit here and worry until you could worry no more, until you've made yourself ill with the worry.
Yeah.
Instead, you could say, you know what, I'm at work. It's a really busy day. I'm about to step into this really important meeting. Instead of worrying about that now, I'm going to set myself 15 minutes on my lunch break today to worry about this then.
Yes.
Or tonight on my walk, or I'll worry about it tomorrow because tomorrow's Sunday.
Yeah.
Just park it for a second.
Yeah.
Because it's usually not a timely worry, as in, oh, I'm worried.
Yes.
I'm worried about, let's say that it's a real worry. For example, you have had some symptoms, you've gone and had some tests, you've got your follow-up appointment with the doctor tonight. That's a really normal thing to worry about. But perhaps rather than worrying for 48 hours in the lead up, perhaps you can set yourself a worry time to worry about that from 5 p.m. till 5:30 p.m. this afternoon when you go on your walk. Now, I'm not suggesting that your brain is going to go, oh, okay, cool, I've worried about that now, particularly when it's a big thing like that, or worried about the well-being of a family member, or one, they're really genuine concerns. So what will happen is your brain will go, no, I'm still worried about that. And you'll go, okay, cool, no problem, I hear you. Now is a fine time. Let's do 10 more minutes of worry. I'm going to set a timer. Or, nope, still not a great time. I'll set another worry time for tonight. But it's about not letting it consume you 24/7. It's like your brain, and I interviewed this incredible Oxford educated neuroscientist, Dr. Sarah McKay, who I love. She wrote an incredible book called the Women's Brain Book. And what she says is that it's kind of like it's almost like a scene that your mind is playing in your head over and over again. And once your brain has done that enough times, it just starts doing it on its own because it feels familiar. And by that becomes a really sorry state of affairs by the time you get to that stage, because your brain's doing it without you even telling it to. And then you kind of can't separate yourself and your reality from the worry, which I think, we all know is awful. So that, anyway, it took a very long time to answer your question. That's what I would say.
No, they're great points. And it is, you can just get so caught down. I sometimes say to clients, you're going down a rabbit hole and there's no light at the end of this tunnel. Like, you're just going worse and worse into the black hole of doom. You've got to try and turn that around and pull yourself back out for whatever tricks, tips and tricks work for you, but find something that works. Like, give some stuff a go, so that you don't live in that place all the time, because it's just exhausting.
The only other thing that I would say, actually, because you did also ask me about comparison, and I was thinking about that for you this morning, and what I would say to that is, look, I am no stranger to this. I think we all do that. Your 13-year-old daughter does it. I do it at 37. I think we all do a bit of that. But I was thinking about it this morning, and what it's kind of like is, it's like buying a house, and there are two houses that you've got. One you've done complete due diligence on. You've been to see it a number of times. You've had lengthy conversations with the agent. You've had every single inspection and test. You've done your market research. You know that house inside and out. It's like comparing that to a house that you have never seen, but you've seen the ad. So you've seen the pictures that a fancy photographer took with great lighting, and somebody had come in and styled it. And a wordsmith has written these incredible words that have outlined exactly what they want you to know about that house. And you're trying to make a decision between this house that you have absolutely done your due diligence on and you know inside and out, and this house that you have never seen. It's impossible to compare.
Although we try to. We'd still try to. It's ridiculous. But that's a great, great analogy to remind us to go, you don't have all the facts here. You don't.
That's right. That's right. And so to know
work.
that you're doing okay, I say, take a look around you.
Yeah.
Like anybody who's listening to this, I would hazard a guess that they are probably living in Australia or in a very developed country.
Yes.
They have enough food probably to put food on the table. They have the wherewithal to listen to this.
Yeah.
They're doing okay.
You're doing okay.
Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You absolutely
Stop worrying.
Yes, exactly.
You know, that chapter also goes into worrying. Oh, it's so funny. God, I was laughing out loud. But like, there's a section you've got stupid shit to stop worrying about, which is having a thigh gap. I mean, who the hell? There's only a very small portion of the world that has that. I don't know why that's a thing. Whose fault is it, and why we didn't grow up and marry Ryan Reynolds? But one of the other ones was how to stop worrying what other people think. What tricks do you use to stop worrying about other people's opinions?
Okay, so I use two. One is remembering that we are pack animals. So we are designed for connection.
Yeah.
We have a biological need to be liked.
Yeah.
So don't beat yourself up for that.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
really normal.
Yes.
And it's not really something that we can turn off.
No.
So again, for me, this one comes back to control. The honest truth is that you don't have much control over what other people think about you.
Yeah.
Sure, you can be nice. It's great to be liked. You is try and do the right thing by people, but the honest truth is that what people think about you is much, much, much more about them than it is about you.
Yeah.
So sure, be kind to people, yada, 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 do all the right things. I'm huge on kindness, but but please know that while the world is big and our connections feel, if you can even call them that, feel greater and bigger than ever before because of how many people we follow and who follow us and are on our email list, and we have all these people in our lives, but honestly the number of people whose opinions of you matter should be very, very small.
So small.
Write a list, keep it on your phone if you need to, and then when you start worrying about what Dickface77 said about you on Twitter, go back to your list. And Shelley Horton, the beautiful Shelley Horton, who's an incredible television presenter,
interviewed last
she
year.
taught me that one.
Yes,
yeah,
she was so great.
Gorgeous.
Oh my God, we laughed so much on it.
She gets trolled so heavily, and she was the one who said that to me. So full credit to her.
Yeah. Oh, she was so good. We laughed so much on that episode. I came off with sore cheeks with the recording. She was so much fun. But yeah, she's great, isn't she? And she just keeps going no matter what. Yeah, bloody Dickface77 on Twitter says.
Actually, she said to me, "Fuckface69," but don't you like the way I reinvented that?
I do. I love it. Claim that,
so
bitch. Yeah, you got to have your own. You got to have your own. Oh my goodness. Now you say. Then we look at it. We go to an in-depth look at friendships and explain. Oh my God, I laugh so much about this because it's so true. How we've all been duped by the Sex and the City characters who sold us that impossible dream that we'd all be BFFs forever and have eternal friendships and all this BS. So you say the quality of your friendships is the biggest determinant of your happiness. Well, why is the quality of our friendships so important, and what makes for a good one?
So I won't bore you with the details of this, but there's this incredible study out of Harvard, which has been going for about 80 years. It's called the Grant and I always say GLUEC, but I don't even know if that's how you say it, study. And that what they've looked at is hundreds and hundreds of people, largely families that started back in like 1938 or something. And they're still following the ones that are alive now, as well as some of their families. And what that's given us is a really long-term look at what contributes to people's happiness. So they've looked at what sort of families they had, what sort of jobs they had, how much money they earned, what's happened in terms of their health. And all of that data has boiled down to this. Over fame or money, the one thing that is indicative of better happiness or greater happiness is the quality of your relationships. So not the quantity of them, the depth and the quality of them. And what that really means, and this is my interpretation of it, is being able to be 100% yourself with those people. Now, they might be people in your family or your friendship group or even people in your community, but just having a small number of people who love you unconditionally and absolutely have your back is vital for not only our happiness but also our longevity and our physical health. And I would add a couple of things to that. I look at friendship like a bank. You both make withdrawals, you both need to make deposits so that there's something in there to take out in the first place. You might
Yeah.
even occasionally take a loan out from
Yeah.
one another.
Yeah.
But if that other person isn't making any deposits and they're forever only making withdrawals, then you need to find yourself a better bank.
Yes.
Because there won't be anything left.
No.
It has to work both ways.
Yeah.
I think you're always both operating from a baseline of respect. And I think the ultimate test is, how do you feel when you leave them? If you feel good when you leave them, really
Yeah.
good, no matter whether you had a
Yeah.
mundane catch up or a fun, good, or even if they were helping you through a hard time, if they make you feel better,
Yeah.
that's a keeper.
Absolutely. And you're right. It's got to be a two-way street. It's got to be
Yes, 100%.
give and take, and you're both getting something out of it, not you continually propping someone up or supporting, there's times for that, but not that long-term continuous. You need to be getting something back. And as you say, that they just accept you for who you are. All the secrets and the bad stuff and the good stuff, you can just be whoever you are and not have to worry about hiding certain areas of yourself, isn't it?
Yes. Yes, exactly.
Now, the last question I've got for you is around, you talk about being your own BFF. What things do you do that benefits keeping your self-esteem and confident levels high?
I remind myself of this, and that is that my value is not tied to someone else's ability to value me.
Great.
Not my boss,
Yeah.
not my relationship,
Yeah.
not my job, not my social media following, not the
Yes.
size of my pants, not
No.
how much money I have in the bank. That my value is so much more than that.
Yeah.
My value is my kindness and my spirit, and that makes me sound really woo-woo, and I am not like that at all.
No, it's not.
I'm so much more than all of those things.
Yeah.
It's not about how many friends I have. My relationships are really important to me. I work really hard on them.
Yeah.
But honestly, the older I get, I'm way, way more cutthroat. I'm like, nah, not interested.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't have time and energy to give you if you're not able to give me the same in return. And so I am my own, we can all be our own biggest critic. But we can also get to be our own biggest champion.
Yeah.
And that's a role that we all get to start playing for ourselves today, right now. That's an actionable step. And I think whenever you're making decisions or thinking to yourself, okay, what would my best friend say? Would they say that I should go into that lunch with those girls that don't make me feel great about myself? Or would they say, fuck that, let's stay home and eat Tim Tams?
Yeah. Cheezels, darling. Cheezels.
So really, Cheezels. Oh, God, I love a Cheezel.
I know. They're the best things on earth. They really are.
The other thing that I say to myself all the time, and I'll leave you with this, is someone has to win, so it might as well be you. And that's the title of one of my chapters. It's like, why the fuck shouldn't it be you?
Absolutely.
Why not?
Yeah. You deserve everything. You're here. Just lap it up and enjoy the life, and you deserve it as much as anybody else.
Totally.
I love
Agreed.
it. All right. Okay, we're going to do our Rise final power questions that we ask every guest, and then I usually do a compilation at the end of the year with all of them, which is just really fun.
Oh, cool.
So what do you wish every woman knew?
Oh, I wish, at risk of repeating myself, I wish every woman knew that their value was not tied to someone else's ability to value them.
Oh, my God. Could you imagine what the world would be like if that was the case? I mean,
yeah, I can.
What is your superpower, Casey?
Empathy.
Oh, that's a good one. I love that. Heels or flats? We're all about the
Flats.
shoes here. Oh, you're a flats
flats,
too?
flats.
You're a flats girl?
Mhm.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Your favourite quote or rule that you live by?
Ooh, again, at risk of repeating myself, it would be someone has to
fine.
win, so it might as well be you.
I love it.
That's what I tell myself every day.
Yeah, no, it's a good one. It's a good one. Who inspires you and why?
Look, to be honest, it's everyday, ordinary people battling it out.
Yeah. Which
I
there's a
love
lot
the,
of at the moment, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. You know what? People are going through the most horrific things,
Yeah.
and people are walking around with this emotional scar tissue. They go through things that would feel completely insurmountable to you or I, in the same way that you and I have been through things that to other people would feel completely insurmountable. So, I love people's stories, and I think we're all superheroes. So everyday people, I would say.
Yeah, and there is so much uncertainty at them, it's just uncertainty for people's jobs, uncertainty if you're in lockdown or not in lockdown. That's what's really challenging people at the moment, because our brains do not like uncertainty, as you've been mentioning.
No, they do not. They do not.
It's open wound for a lot of people. Okay, last one. Finish this sentence. If I had even more confidence than I do now, I would
not take no for an answer.
Ooh. I'm
pretty good at putting myself out there, but once somebody says no, I'm like, okay, thanks. So sorry to waste your time. backing away carefully out of the room.
You'd be onto it.
Whereas
that's a good
the
one.
older I get,
the
older I get, the more I'm trying to be like, no, do you know what? I am the right person for this job or this opportunity. And
you need to look again.
If you don't agree, look again. Yeah. And if you still disagree with me, then no problem. But let me show you what I can do.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. We haven't had that one before. That's a very unique one. I love it. That's a good one.
Oh, good.
Well, you finished the book by saying your hope is that every reader can take confidence and permission to be 100% themselves while we learn the most important lesson of them all, that we are not our mistakes, we are not the things that we've done or our failures, that the world needs our imperfect, perfect glory, and that we are heroes for showing up every day, wanting more. And at the end of our life, we will give 0 fucks at how many followers we had on the gram. Well, I want you to know, Casey, that as a reader, this is exactly what I got from your book. And I really want to thank you for being 100% yourself, in print no less, because it is the courage of people like you that bear all your mistakes, your wins, your failures, your fuck-ups, your fears, and your perspective that really allow the rest of us to shrug off the shame. Remember that no one knows what the fuck they're doing. And in the scheme of things, we're all probably doing okay. And I really do want to thank you for taking the time to be with us today and sharing your insights on our podcast. So appreciate your time.
My absolute pleasure. It was so nice to talk to you, Jody. Anytime.
Awesome.
Anytime.
Well, now for your next book, there's always, have you had that yet? Every time I write a book, every author I've ever spoken to said, oh my God, people are already asking me when the next book is. It's like, I don't know why that's a thing. So maybe for your next book, we'll have you on. Watch this space. And thank you to everyone for listening today. And remember, there are so many ways that we can help you become the confident woman you've always wanted to be. So please get in touch with us at risewomen.com. We want to ensure that confidence is every woman's new normal, and we do that by getting our programs and resources out to as many women as possible. So until next time, remember, with confidence, anything is possible. Bye for now.